In the world of sports manga, female leads are uncommon. Scrolling through Mal, you have to go quite a while to find one where the focus is actually on a female character, and quite a bit further to get one that both has a female lead and is actually more sports than romance. I suspect this is because women are more interested in watching cute boys compete, with potential for BL, than watching other women, and men are only interested in sports if there's fan service or a romantic subplot to self-insert into. Sure, this is an overgeneralization, but let's be frank, it's true. Today, I'd like to make a sales pitch for a rarity, a sports manga with a female lead that isn't there for fan service or romance, but rather to display the same plucky, never-give-up attitude of your average shonen protagonist. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Medalist. Inori is something of a failure. She struggles at school, unable to keep up academically. Not from a lack of effort, like some shonen dumbasses, but just from a lack of ability. She lacks the confidence to make friends, and her family doesn't seem like they've been doing the best job supporting her either, instead heaping praise on her older sister. The one thing Inori loves is figure skating, but since her older sister, who's clearly the favorite child in the family, dropped out of the sport after an injury, her mum decided that Inori couldn't do it either. There's no way she could do it. She can't do anything. Her older sister could do it, but she can't do anything. Holy hell, her mother is trash. Anyways, Inori, not to be deterred by her mum's witchery, had been getting around this by bartering with the old man at the rink counter and trading worms for ice time. Into this tragic situation steps Tsukasa. As a former competitive figure skater, he sees potential in Inori, and as someone who was told he started too late and lacked money to keep competing, he wants Inori to avoid his fate. Tsukasa boldly proclaims that he'll be her coach, and through sheer enthusiasm and force of will, convinces Inori's mother to let her skate. From there, we follow Inori as she strives towards her ultimate goal of winning an Olympic gold medal with Tsukasa guiding and supporting her all the way. The first thing most people look for in a sports manga is fan service. But after that, it's the excitement of whatever sport is being portrayed, and that's something that Medalist excels at. The figure skating is beautifully illustrated. The mangaka clearly has a great deal of talent for conveying motion, and I found it easy to follow along with every routine that Inori skated. Everything feels so fluid, and the gaps between the action in each panel naturally fill in your mind. Just as is true when watching figure skating competitions in real life, there's a build-up of anticipation before each jump, and relief or sorrow after each landing or fall. I felt way more tense reading through some of Inori's routines than I've ever felt reading a life or death battle in a shonen series. The body positions for the skaters are on point. As a former figure skater, everything just looked right to me. From having the correct entrance positions for jumps, to struggling to hold a rough landing, to even having the correct leg position when stroking. And this realism really helps with the immersion in the story. While reading this, I felt like grabbing my skates and getting back out on the ice after being out of the sport for decades. I also love the two leads in this story. The coach-student relationship between Tsukasa and Inori is beautiful. Tsukasa, while having little confidence in himself, is amazing at instilling confidence in others. He boosts Inori out of the dark place she's in at the start of the series to a competitor who's mentally resilient and provides the most enthusiastic support she could have possibly asked for. Seeing how proud and happy he is for her when she succeeds is honestly adorable. He's one giant positive ball of energy. At the same time, when she fails, he's there for her too and helps her recover and push forward. Especially given how unsupportive Inori's mother is at the beginning of the story, I can only imagine how much Tsukasa's ended up changing Inori's life for the better. She goes from being a ball of crushed cuteness that generates sympathy and awes from the reader to having shonen protagonist levels of enthusiasm. Watching this transformation is one of my favorite parts of this series. And after seeing her pour blood, sweat, and tears into skating, it's impossible not to cheer for her all the way to the podium. While I love all the figure skating training and competing the story has to offer, I feel like it falls a bit short off the ice. It has all this really juicy character drama that gets set up, only for it to quietly fizzle out. As discussed at the beginning of the story, Inori is beset by problems, from her mother's complete lack of support or investment in her to her miserable time at school. It felt like there was a whole lot of room to explore these issues, and I was curious to see how much they would be resolved, expecting some tear-jerking moments. Those never came. Pretty much, Inori got good at skating, and then suddenly her mum is proud of her and she's popular in school. I don't mind that her passion for figure skating fixed her problems. Hell, I think it's great that her mother recognized how hard Inori was working, and that the confidence she gained from skating carried over to her social life. My issue is that it's done so lightly. It feels like some real wasted potential and removes most of the catharsis the reader could have felt if more time had been spent on the resolution. Even aside from everything else, her feeling like skating is the only thing that she doesn't fail at and is what brings her value seems like it's a bit of an issue that should have been addressed and hasn't been so far. Similarly, I would love if they took a bit more time to dig into Tsukasa's backstory. We know there's this lady, Meiko Kago, who used to support Tsukasa's figure skating, but she died young. Her husband and daughter are still in the story, and Tsukasa's living with them now. Now, as to why Meiko supported Tsukasa, why she died, and why he's still living with their family, well, that plot point was introduced in the first chapter, and 10 volumes in, we still don't know. Feels like this could have been something interesting to explore, given that Tsukasa had to drop out of figure skating for financial reasons likely tied to Meiko's death. This is something that is heavily implied in Tsukasa's conversation with Meiko's husband at the start of the story. Exploring this could have resulted in some great emotional moments, and add some weight and complexity to Tsukasa's motivations. At the moment though, it feels like a Chekhov's gun that the author was going to do something with, and then completely forgot about. Broadly, I would love to see a bit more of any part of Tsukasa's past. It's been clearly established that his past is a large part of what initially made him so invested in seeing Inori succeed, so it would be great to see more of it at some point. Now, these are just 2 examples, but all the other portions of the story off the ice have the same issue. From Inori's rivalry with the genius skater Hikaru, to the former Olympic champion Jun Yokada's novel approach to coaching, there's a ton of interesting plot beats that are introduced, and then left to rot on the vine. So, with all that being said, would I recommend Medalist? Yes, I would. The figure skating is drawn incredibly well. The competitions have a real sense of tension, and both Inori and Tsukasa are just too pure for this world, so you have to root for them. All the complaints I have can easily be fixed by the author in future volumes, and are really more in the way of how the story could be improved, rather than serious detractors. Also, there's an anime coming out, so if you read it now, you have the rare opportunity to be one of those pricks who tells everyone you read it before it was cool, and to spoil everything in the comment section on Crunchyroll. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video and will enjoy reading Medalist. Cheers!